Hello everyone and welcome to the new episode of the Darktable. In this episode we will talk about black and white conversion, and I have prepared few my own raw files for that purpose. And I don't want to go too deep in the theory behind that, but I would like to show you how to do this with Darktable. Okay, well, let's get started. So this is how our first photo looks like, and I have chosen this photo because I have a nice distinction between that main subject, which is those line of the trees on the edge of the water with reflection, and the background. And that is quite important to have that if you want to convert your photo to the black and white. And we can use those two aspects, first the brightness and also the color of the trees, to enhance that area. What I mean is this area. And everything else we can darken or bring it back to the background. Okay, so first I would like to remove that left panel because we don't need it, so that you can have a much better view of the photo. And let's get started. So how we proceed by editing a photo in the black and white. I always edit my photo like every other photo. I would like to bring everything up, what I think it's important, without thinking about conversion first, and then I will say how can I use that edited photo for the conversion, because I have all details and colors what I need, and I can judge a little bit better how to proceed to convert it. Okay, so let's get started with exposure a little bit, maybe not too much. What we also need is some contrast. I can use Filmic. For that I can go to the Look tab and add some contrast there. And of course colors balance RGB for adding some color intensity. So let's do that real quick, because we getting already the nice contrasts in the colors and in the brightness. And I think I could also now use color calibration module next instance and darken a little bit of blue by using brightness tab and darken the blue channel and add some brightness to the red channel like this, and maybe, I don't know, a little bit green. Okay, and now we have nice distinction between that foreground and background, and let's see what will be the next step. So now we have that nice distinction, but we have also sky, which is quite bright and fight a little bit our main subject. And before we deal with that, I would like to crop that photo, because I think that some kind of cinematic look could be quite nice for this motive. So let's do that first. I will use that universum preset. Let's see how far we should go. I will say something like that. And now the next step will be to darken the sky even more, but I don't want to influence too much the rest, so I will use one more color calibration module, one more instance, and this time I will use mask, and it will be the gradient mask, maybe something like that. And let's see what happens when we go down with our colors, maybe something like that. Now I'm thinking already how to convert it, because I have that nice distinction. And I think we are ready to conversion. So to convert it to black and white, we can use another instance of color calibration module. So let's do that. But this time we will put that instance above color balance RGB, because on the color balance RGB we have added some contrast and some colors, and we can use that also for conversion. So we go above color balance RGB module, see here, and now we will use a gray tab on the color calibration module, and as you can see we have a green and yellow colors which are quite bright, and therefore we will use the red channel for black and white conversion. We can use every 3 channels, but in this case the red channel is most important, so we'll add a lot of brightness only to that channel. And I think we can also use the brightness tab to darken the blue even more. So let's see, something like that. And I think I can go back to that color calibration module to bring that black even darker. Yeah, let's see, that looks quite nice. And as the last step, I would like to add some more contrast on our tree line with reflection, and therefore I will use tone equalizer, and I will put it also above everything before filming, because I would like to add that contrast after all that editing. And now we will use simple tone curve. That means we don't use that preservation of details, and that is how the mask look like. We practically use now tone equalizer as tone curve, a simple tone curve. So we will add just a bit lightness on the brightest part of the trees. Maybe go down here, let's see. Okay, so that we have nice details there. Okay, I think that looks quite nice now. So let's see, a little bit brighter. Yeah, that is how I like it. Okay, so let's try another one. Okay, this one is quite obvious because we have that well lit areas which are in the contrast to the background and that cold colors. And for me is interesting this part here with a teddy thing that is some kind of a cheap market, similar like I think a Dollar Tree in the United States when you can buy cheap stuff. And let's get started with this one. So we will first add some exposure, maybe not too much, and we will also use our color calibration module next instance with, of course, brightness tab to darken the blue. And now we can go quite far, because I know I would like to convert it to the black and white, so I don't need to look too much if the sky is too dark or not. So I can go so far and add a little bit brightness to the red channel. And I will go also to the color balance RGB to add some colors, because we are adding also some kind of contrast there, which can be quite interesting to when we are making our conversion. I think something like that. And we can now use the next instance of the color calibration module for that conversion. So let's use a new instance of color calibration module, bring it above color balance RGB, and start to convert it with a gray tab. And similar to the last one, we have warm colors which are bright, and we will use, of course, then red channel for that conversion. Let's do that. And it already looks nice, but I would like to enhance this part only and not too much the rest. So I will use, I think I will use tone equalizer once more, and go above color calibration, which we have used for that conversion, and of course simple tone curve preset, which means without preservation of details. Let's see how the masks look like. I think we can use that. And of course we go up a little bit with the brightness only on that highest brightness areas, excuse me. And as last tip, maybe I would like to darken a little bit this part here, because it fights my main subject, and that is that teddy thing. So we'll use exposure module, one more instance, go to above everything. Oh, excuse me, wrong. Let's go here, and we will use, of course, the mask, drone mask. So we'll leave that as it is and darken everything else. So we need to toggle our polarity of the mask so that we have masked everything else. And now we can darken a little bit the rest, maybe, I don't know how far, something like that. And maybe just a little bit more exposure in the first exposure module. Let's see, because we don't need to watch overexposure, because everything is white here, so it doesn't matter if we go too far, but we don't need to go too far. So we have now nice lightness here, and I will go back to the exposure number 1 and darken the rest a little bit more, something like that. So let's see. Yeah, that looks quite nice. Okay, let's see it in full screen. Yeah, that looks quite nice. Okay, you see that black and white photos are for black and white photos, it's very important that you have nice contrasts here, that you have nice distinction between that what is well lit and the background. Okay, so let's see what can we do with the next one. And this one, I like that nice reflection on the wall here, which illuminates quite softly the whole area here on the alley, and also gives some nice framing for the person who is walking there. So first we will add some exposure to the scene so that we can recognize the details a little bit more, a little bit better. And I will also use color balance module for color intensity, and also adding some kind of the contrast there. And as next step, I would like to compress a little bit, oh, not contrast, excuse me, compress a little bit the highlights, and we'll leave that compression there. So I don't know, you can add some contrast there, something like that. And I would like to darken a little bit that part of the wall here, because it's too bright. We're losing all the details here. So I will use tone equalizer for that, add some mask. We don't need to do it everywhere, only on this part. So we will use our drone mask there, something like that. Then adjust our mask in the tone equalizer. Okay, we need to adjust a little bit better and go down with brightness a little bit more. Okay, now it looks nice already, and we will now use the second instance of the color calibration, similar like before in the last two photos, and darken a little bit the blue channel. But I think I will also use that. Let me think. I will also use some kind of drone mask. I think it will be okay. Let's use a gradient mask. Bring that blue down and add, of course, a red channel and a little bit of green, maybe. Or let's see. Okay, a little bit of green. Go back even more with the blue one. And I think we are good here. Now it looks much better. And as next step, I will use one more exposure module, because I would like to enhance that lightness here also. And I'll also add a drone mask, something like that. Let's see. And add some exposure here. Well, let's go a little bit brighter. So let's see how it looks like now. Yeah, it looks much better. And I think we are ready now for black and white conversion. So we will use a next color calibration instance, bring it above color balance RGB, and use the gray tab for conversion. And similar to the last photos, we can use a red channel for that. Maybe just a little bit input green. Let's see how far we should go. Something like that. And I think we need a little bit more contrast here. So we will use another instance of tone equalizer. Go above everything before filmic. Also use simple tone curve. That means without preservation of details. Let's see how the mask looks like. Okay, and we will reduce that area to this that part here. Let's go back. Something like that. And yeah, we can use that just a tiny bit there and here. And I don't know, maybe let's see first how it looks like. Maybe go back to the exposure number 1. That means this area here, and give just a bit more exposure here. And I think I can use also one instance of tone equalizer for this area, so that we have much more details on the stones on the road here. Okay, so let's use a new instance and mask this part only. And also use, okay, I can use it manually. The option without preservation of details. Adjust the mask a little bit. Let's see. Okay, that's nice. And now we will use, I don't understand what is happening. Okay, there we are. this is the area which need to have a little bit more contrast, something like that. Okay. But I think, let's see the mask again. I think we can bring that back a little bit so that we don't influence this area here. Okay. Yeah, that looks nice now. And maybe maybe go a little bit back here and down. Let's see. And add some feathering here. I think that looks better. Okay. Yeah. That looks now quite nice. We have a nice focus on that part of the scene. Okay, let's see in full. Maybe without that here. Yeah, like it. Okay, the next one. This one is particularly interesting because we don't have that distinction between foreground and background in brightness, but in the texture. As you can see, this artwork in the woods is quite smooth in contrast to the rest of the photo, the trees in the wood and the leaves on the ground, which are quite restless. And we can use this distinction to for the conversion. Let's see how can we deal with that. Okay, let's start with exposure. Give it a little bit of exposure that we can see the details there. And of course, as always, start with color balance RGB and bring that saturation a little bit higher. And of course, through the saturation, also the contrast, so that we can see the details even better. Maybe I will add a little bit more. Something like that. Okay, this is the first step. Now we can see the difference a little bit better. And the next step will be that we can, because that object has a warm colors, similar like the leaves on the ground, but it's his background is black, not black, I mean blue, and we can use color calibration to make the distinction between those areas even more. So we will use the brightness tab as before and darken a little bit the blue channel, maybe even green, let's see, and enhance the brightness of the red channel. So as you can see, we can now see that object even better. That will be a first step. And the next step is to darken the rest. Now that can be done in different ways. I will use another exposure module with drone mask. So let's do that first. Now we need to mask it quite nicely. Let's see. We need to be precise as possible. But the Darktable has a really nice masking option here. So we'll demonstrate that a little bit. Okay, let's bring that gradient radius a little bit down. And now we will turn the mask on to see how it looks like. Okay, now we can use these mask refinement functions, feathering radius, for example, to add a little bit more radius. And mask will follow the texture now, as you can see, maybe even more. Oh no, something like that. And when we add a contrast in the mask, we'll already have a nice masking, but we can improve it a little bit more just to bring that main area in that object, and everything between that gradient and the mask will be adjusted through that algorithm. We don't need to be too precise, but let's use some time for that. Let's see. So far we can go. Maybe we need a little bit more time now, but I think that we can have a nice result there. Let's see if you go further, or let's go further a little bit, add a little bit more or less. Let's see, a bit more. Yeah, that's what I like. Oh, that was too far. Okay. Oh, maybe we don't need to go too far here. Okay, now I think that's enough. That looks good now. And I think we can now invert that mask and darken the west a little bit. Something like that. Now we have nice distinction between those two areas. And as next step, I would like to remove that local contrast a little bit, and for that I will use diffuse and sharpen new module. I don't want to discuss how to use it here. Maybe I will make one extra episode for that module to demonstrate how to use it. But in this case, we will add some haze here, and we will use the first and second order speed for that diffusion, and add some radius to that so that you can see we have some kind of haziness here, and maybe enhance that by using more iteration. Let's see, let's start with the second, with 2 or maybe 3. Let's see, something like that. But we don't want that haziness everywhere. Let's see, how far should we go? And we have a lot of possibilities how to reduce that. We can go with edge sensitivity or edge threshold to deal with it. But I would like to use one of the blend modi, new blend modi, and it will be geometric mean, or let's see, harmonic mean. One of those. I think a geometric mean is nice. As you can see, we have softened a little bit the texture. Maybe we can go even further. Let's see, add some more instances. 4 or something. Yeah, that looks much better. And edge sensitivity. Okay, well, let's try the radius. Yeah, that's better. Go back with edge sensitivity. Yeah, add some radius here, central radius. What all these functions are, you can read in Darktable manual. It's quite nice description there. But it can be that I will make one episode extra for that, so I can demonstrate those sliders here. But in this episode, I will only use it without description, so you can see. That's nice. Okay, let's see what will be the next step. I think we are ready now for black and white conversion, so let's use another instance of color calibration module. New instance, and bring it above color calibration, color balance RGB. And now use gray mode, and since we have a red channel here, or our main object is red, we will use that channel to bring that that object to the foreground. And maybe we will also use, let's see if that works, brightness tab to darken a little bit blue channel and even green, and add even more redness there. Let's see, do we have, I will see, I'm not sure, no. Let's go with the blue even darker. I think that could work. Maybe something like that. Okay, and now I will also use tone equalizer for adding some details, or for enhancing the brightness on the highlights. So I will go above everything again. And use, of course, simple tone curve. Let's see how the mask look like. Oh, that's okay. And now let's go up a little bit. Something like that. And I think I can go back to the exposure 1 to darken the rest even more. Just a little bit. And go back to the tone equalizer and add that contrast there. I don't want to lose too much details here, so let's see how it looks like now. Yeah, that's quite nice. I think we're done here. You can improve it even better with, I think we can use even one more instance of diffuse and sharpen for softening the texture even more, but it doesn't need to be done here. I think it's enough as it is. Okay, I think that's enough for this episode. I have prepared a few more photos, but it will be too long for one episode, so let's leave it there. And if you have some questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section, or even better by pixels.us in the discussion forum there. And thank you for watching, and until the next time.